Hey there folks, it's me, your boy Nosferatus, who forgot to record for about a month. And I'm back, this time after a few things stopped me from recording. And this video I'm going to make a tutorial on how to build a proper MBT. Now, what is an MBT, you might be asking? Well, an MBT is a tank that is very mobile, very good armor, very good weapons, all into one package. It is something that, this term began to be used more often during the Cold War as, technologies progressed and such things were able to be created, and this is what we are going to be working on today. I'm going to set in stone how you can make a tank that has insanely good armor, firepower, and literally anything you could ask for. And I just know that some of you may be looking into this video and be thinking, oh wow, he's just going to teach me how to make like a basic tank, there's a bunch of these in the workshop and shit. And well, while that is technically true, there's a bunch of tanks in the workshop, I'm going to really dive into the more detailed and specific aspects of it and make a tank that functionally will beat literally everything else with all of these things I'm going to tell you about. And well, let's begin building this thing, right? I'm going to use this armored seat right here, and I am going to be recording this thing, and I'm going to be, building and pausing and showing you along the way how this thing develops. And of course, this is the very beginning of it. This is the first step. Just get a seat, get a block in it for the seat to sit in, and we are going to make a good amount of progress from here. So as you see over here, I have added a few engines, the very basic stuff. I've got a helicopter engine for a tank steering system, and something more special that I have plugged in and that you really should worry about plugging in as well is this tiny system over here. So as you can see, I've got a few pistons pushing this servo up. This is going to be our third servo. Has got these systems, and this servo right here has the exact same configurations as that one without controls. And we have plugged in two compass blocks with these configurations, both looking at opposite ways, so that they activate differently. So you can see this one's over to that way, this one's over to this way, and they are, one is negative, one is positive. You can see negative, positive. They both give signals to both of these servos, and this is so that our turret that we are going to build always looks the same way without us needing to do much control by ourselves. This is a stabilization system, and it is like the first proper system that we are getting in place over here. Plugging in these LEDs now, these two OR blocks, can be literally any of these blocks, does not matter. I'm going to set this as D and this as A, and we're going to set them to the left side of here of engines, and over here we're going to do this on this right side. This is going to be used for our tank steering system. I have got this entire thing covered up over here with blocks on all sides, and something that you have to bear in mind with this system in the back over here, it must not connect to anything besides the servo down here. As you can see, its only connection points are to the other compass and the servo. If you don't do this, it's not going to work. I'm going to get two sets of wheels in, and we're going to get a truck wheel and a all-terrain wheel, the basic one. We're going to get both of these in. I'm going to make sure they are both connected, and this is not where they're going to stay at all, but we are going to connect them. We're going to make sure that this ring of engines is only connected to this side, and this ring of engines only connected to this side. This means that we now have very functional engine. The only reason I really say to just do this like right now is just because it's easier, because after that you can just go on copy pasting these wheels, and they are automatically going to be set to these. I also added 2 more engines just for funsies. I have spaced the wheels out a little bit. As you can see, there's like 1 stud in between each, just to, you know, there's no friction between them, and that they have as much freedom as they need. And as you can see, I've got a sort of a tank track shape going on right now. Now this is where we begin to get a little bit funny. So I'm going to plug these 2 over here. These are both big articulations. We're going to remove these, set an angle to that. If you may, I am just selecting it wrong. Speed does not really matter. Keep position. And I am going to plug an altitude sensor. Does not really matter where we plug it. I'm going to just place it right over here in the corner. We're going to set it to always be active by setting it so that it always activates whenever it's above this. So pretty much always. And after you plug these in and they are always activating, you use these heavy blocks, and they are quite amazing for protection. And when you make them angle like that, they are very strong. They are going to take out most magnetic projectiles. They are going to resist very well against most damage. I have placed a few in the back too to just counteract all of that weight. And this thing is going to work under the angled armor and systems that are in real life, where if you angle it just a bit, it is going to perform much better than just a flat slab. And this is the reason as to all of this system. For us to really make this thing busted, just go on, pick all of these 1x2 shields and place them in this pattern, where in the sides you have them in vertical order, and over here we're going to make them all horizontal like this. This is going to ensure that they are connected to more than one block, so if one falls the shield is still going to be stitched up, and this thing will do quite amazing when it comes to taking in shots. And I'm just going to plug this all over this thing. While I'm done over here, I've got it over here, in the sides, in the front. You want to have as many of these as possible, but this is how it's looking like right now. This thing is really robust and it's perfect for frontal armor. You can also go ahead and place a few of these 2x4 shields over here in the back to cover up for these. We don't want as much armor over here, so 2x4s will do just fine. If you are a bit confused as to why I just said that, you know, we don't need much armor over here, so 2x4s, while in here we're using 2x1s, you can always go on and watch my last videos. 2x1 armor blocks are much better than 2x4s. It's kind of ridiculous, and yeah, that's why. And now we are going to get a bit of a side skirt going on over here to cover the wheels. And there we go. I have made the side skirt and I have plugged in, yes, more weight blocks over here and over here. And now over here we're going to cover up the roof of our chassis, and we're going to place these 2 blocks over here. They have no connection points. Again, we have to keep these without connection points. And we are also going to plug them right over here, around where our servo is going to be. And why? That's because there must be no connection points around the servo, you know, it's going to drop over here. And this is required for a little thing we're going to do. And this is how it looks right now. As you can see, it's still a bit front heavy. I've got the entire roof covered up, and I even have got these 3 blocks over here, just for the sake of a bit of extra frontal protection. I'm going to switch these weight blocks around so that they don't make connection with these wheels. And yes, these lighter ones do just as fine as these heavier ones, but I prefer the heavier ones because they have connection points on all sides. makes them just a bit better at taking in all of that stuff. I'm going to make this bit over here for a bit of extra aerodynamics and also for a connection point for this wheel. And for an ending, I'm going to plug in just a few of these 1x2s over here to really give it some really good armor. Wrong button. And I'm going to plug in 2x4s on all over the rest, because these areas are not as needed to have very good armor as these bits and over here. And as you may be noticing, we are running quite a bit high on the complexity side of things. This is pretty normal when building tanks, so got used to that. And I suppose you can already also see why I told you about all of these engines being needed. This is why. These blocks are incredibly good at taking in any and all damage, but of course they weigh a lot, so you're going to need a bunch of engines if you want something that's even close to being mobile with this thing. Now to test the armor in this thing, let's just give it a shot. Yep, does pretty well. Barely damaged even. That is why I say this is a true MBT sort of formation, because this thing is incredibly resistant. Much more resistant than literally anything else you're going to find in this game. Now we begin working on the turret, and first off, you may already have noticed that I've got these two pistons over here. Why are they even here? Well, that's because they're going to lower our servo at exactly 011. This is going to make it so that we have it exactly over the chassis. And like that, pretty much perfectly connected to it, barely visible at all. Now for the turret, I'm going to work on it like most modern tanks do, with the front being very incredibly well armored, and trying to make that work here in Trailmakers too, while adding some firepower at it. So as I can see, I'm working on a bit of a shape for it. This is the frontal turret. Has got 3 layers of heavy blocks over here, a bunch of 2x1 shields, and over here we're going to make this piston cannon. It's going to be very thick, 8 pistons total, and gotta plug this all to -100 and 0.05 along automatic restart. Here I just connected all of it up. A few of these 4x8, I switched the 4x8 for a few of these 2x4s. And as you may notice, I indeed am using 4 servos, and I'm going to soon explain why. Setting up the controls on these LEDs over here in the inner part of it, and I'm going to set their speed to be 0.15, angle of 45, keep it. These outer ones though, no configurations on them just yet. However, you want to make them 0.10, 15, keep position, no controls whatsoever in them. I have got a bit more of a structure around here with a bunch of weight blocks all over the place. Now I'm going to show you why I have all of these servos in place over here. So I've got the servo, it's exactly like that one, exact same configs, everything. I'm going to grab 2 angle sensors. I'm going to switch them around like this, and what I'm going to do, one point like this, direction 90 degrees, so that they look on opposite ways. And of course we have to connect this up. Alright, so there you have it, and as you can see, no, they are over here giving a signal to every single one of these. And this one is a positive signal, this one is a negative signal, and this one is giving a negative 0.10 velocity, while all of these have these accepts. Then what this does is that it allows the vehicle, the cannon, to always be aiming at the same spot. It's a stabilizer system that keeps it always aiming at the exact same position. As for these pistons now, what we're going to do, we're going to give them a negative signal with our mouse button over here, and these numbers right over here. We're going to work on the cannon. And this specific cannon I'm going to make out of grid blocks and a few of the wedge blocks, because we're going to make a triple shot cannon over here, as we fit these leads over here to the sides of it, just like so. We can fit this in too, just like this, and then we can fit this bigger lead in the end of it. This is a triple shot cannon in a very basic form, and what we're going to do, we're going to give these boys over here a small 0.2 delay, and the same numbers that we gave to the pistons, and also the same thing for this bigger lead over here. So we're going to do this, all of this with the mouse button. And as you can see, the end result is a quite powerful long-range cannon that shoots 3 of these pellets all at once. And I'm going to do a little funny, and I'm going to just plug in a minigun right inside here, right about here. Give this, and this, around this. And it's going to act as a coaxial gun that's inside our turret. Can even do like this, this, to make it look that way, and increase this a bit. You want to kind of limit how much it auto-aims, because if it ends up auto-aiming into your gun and shooting at it, it's going to cause some damage. Now making the roof of this thing the same thing as the compasses below this one. No connection points besides the servo and whatever's connecting the servo to it. So the roof and the floor must be disconnected. So that's why I'm using these curved blocks here and also down here, although it's a bit harder to see. So I got a bit of extra work here on the side, and same thing, adding in a bunch of these blocks. And one thing that you have to note when you're making your turret is that you have to really make sure that the center of mass stays inside of the chassis, because the chassis is still going to be by far your most well armored part of the vehicle, and it is very good if the center of mass is alongside it, because it means that most auto-aim weapons are going to aim for it instead of your weaker turret. And over here I'm going to add in a camera to the cannon. So I'm going to do it like this, and I'm going to have no angle, just alternate, and get in, see, and get. And now what we do is we're going to add in a crosshair into this thing so that we can aim out of it. Now that it's crosshair in it, as you can see right here, it is quite nice. And with the back of the turret now done, I am going to just add a little anti-recoil system inside of it now. Very simple anti-recoil added, literally just pistons at the exact same stats as these ones in the front, connected to a weight block, and they are going off the opposite way. So what that does is it makes it so that the cannon fires with much less recoil. I'm just going to add in a few shields to this thing, just to really buff it up. I'm also going to be adding in a smart cannon on top of the turret with its full auto-aim capabilities. Now there you have it. I have spent like the last few complexity points in really beefing up the cannon. So as you can see, there's a bunch of smaller shield blocks over here that will really help it take a few hits. I have also did a paint job and overall completed the whole design. The turret is perfectly centered, and as you may notice, it is very clean right now. Let's do a few armor tests in this thing. I'm going to give a couple shots in it. So let's see. Frontal armor plate. No sweat. Turret. No sweat. Let's see. Side armor. Going to give it a couple shots. As you can see, there's some damage, but overall not incapacitated just yet. Back armor. Couple shots too. Doing quite well. This is what I mean by a very well defended tank. Look at this thing. As you might see over here, most of the damage is really superficial. A few wheels did come off this side especially. I did give 2 shots at it. But overall, as you can see, it is still doing quite well. And with a maximum velocity of about 100 kilometers per hour or even further, I'd say that this is quite a successful MBT. It is a very nice tank, and I'm going to call it a Festo, and this is pretty much the guidelines as to how I build my MBTs. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I see you again sometime in the future. Later!